Hi guys, this is gonna be a guide on how to play Qi'ra. So at the moment she's a very popular deck in the meta. She offers you a really strong late game and a good options to survive to that late game. So at the moment I would say that she's probably the most popular control deck in the meta. So yeah, let's get right into this. So the main goal with Qi'ra is to ramp, use removal to survive, and then win the late when in the late game with all of the strong late game cards, stuff like Snokes, Faders, and Avengers. In order to do that, you have your leader, so Qi'ra. Before she deploys, you can give shield tokens to your units at the expense of dealing 2 damage to them and using 1 resource. This one has a lot of synergy with quite a few cards, namely the Hullbone Enforcer. When she deploys, she heals all of the damage from each unit and then deals damage to each unit equal to half of the remaining HP, rounding down. This ability allows you to stabilize the board. You basically deal some chip damage to all of the enemy units, and then you can finish them off with something like Barrage, and that can really help you stabilize the board. Besides that, we have ECL. The main target for ECL in this deck is Gideon Husk, but there are some other options, something like Super Laser Technician and maybe Loon Pike. So there are a few good options, but I would say that Husk is probably the best by far at the moment. So for our turn 1 plays, we have a Hullbone Enforcer, one for Grid with a Bounty. This one is really strong in Qi'ra because you can give a shield token him on the very first round when you play him, because he only costs 1 resource. You can play him, then as the next action you can give a shield token, and then he becomes a 3/2 with Shielded, which is a great stat line because he essentially can kill your opponent turn 1 play, and then he survives as a 3/2, which can kill maybe another 3-drop from your opponent, or just be a threat for maybe Barrage, or just deal some cheap damage. There's some debate recently about this guy because I feel like in the current meta the decks have quite a lot of answers to him. Like there are Fighters for Freedom, which are quite good. Both hands tend to like the fact that you draw a card with his bounty, and also in the controlling matchups, giving your opponent a card is not the most ideal, but nevertheless he is quite a strong unit. Besides him, we have Pike Sentinel, so a 2/3 unit that has Sentinel, and I'm not the biggest fan of this guy because there are quite a few 3/3 units that can kill this guy. Which is quite awkward if you lose a unit in the early game and the opponent turn 1 play survives, but he has quite a few good things going for him, like the fact that you can give him a shield token and then he's a 2/1 with Shielded can be a big problem for some decks. Also, we can use him as a target from Vader, which is also quite a good option in the later stages of the game. So he's quite decent. Also we have Prop Droid, so a 3/2 unit that allows you to take a look at your opponent's hand. This one's quite vanilla, but just quite a solid 2-drop that can trade with basically any 2-drop that the opponent's gonna play it on the Grand Arena. Nextly, we have Inferno 4, so just a basic ship 2/3 stat line, not the most impressive, but his when played is quite crucial, and also when defeat, so he allows you to search your top 2 cards of your deck, then place them either on top or bottom of your deck in any order, so he can allow you to find a ramp or whatever you need in the early game, and also in the late game he can just put all of the cheap cards at the bottom of the deck in order to maximize your odds of finding the expensive units. So even though his stat line is not amazing, his ability is really strong, especially in this type of archetype. Nextly, we have Ramp, so Super Laser Technician and Resupply. Those cards are very important. Playing them on second round is by far the strongest play Qi'ra can make. If you play against maybe aggro, sometimes you want to do other stuff, but in vast majority of cases, playing ramp is really strong because it allows you to play a 5-drop, and also the 4 drops in Qi'ra are not as strong, so playing ramp on second round essentially allows you to skip those resources, which is quite a strong play. And yeah, both of those cards allow you to do that. Playing ramp in later stages of the game is still a decent option, especially if you play against more controlling matchups, I would say. Next, you have early/mid game units. So we have Death Trooper, a guy that allows you to finish off some low HP units. He's a quite decent target from with ECL because he can kill either a 5 HP enemy unit, or he can kill maybe a 2 HP and a 3 HP unit on the opponent's side. So he's quite flexible. Also, he is by far the best target out of Vader. Besides that, we have Black Sun Starfighter, a 3/2 Sentinel. He can allow you to help against some early space aggressions that some decks can provide, so stuff like Sabine. He's not the greatest if she plays A-Wing or X-Wing into Wing Leader, but besides that, he is quite good at stopping early game ships. Also a great target out of Vader that you can take. Next, we have Lompike, a really strong 4-drop. He has a good smuggle at only 1 resource more than his usual cost, and good on attack ability. When you attack with him, you give the shield token to enemy unit, and then you give a shield token to a friendly unit. It's worth mentioning that you can give a shield token to himself when you attack, so you can pick one target that you want to kill with Lompike, give a shield token to one of the opponent units that you're not attacking, and then you basically don't take the retaliation damage that you would take with from that attack that you just made. And also the shield tokens are sometimes just irrelevant for the opponent because you can maybe stack one ship that the opponent has with many shield tokens and then finish it off with something like Vigilance or Power of Dark Side. And yeah, Qi'ra doesn't really play that much into Space Arena, at least early, so giving shield tokens to Space Unit is quite strong with Lompike. And he is also a decent ECL target. And while we are on topic of good ECL targets, we have Gideon Husk. He's, I think, the best target for ECL in this deck because when enemy unit is defeated, he gives experience token. He has a 5/5/4/5 stat line, which is quite solid. So when you can ECL him at 5 resources, kill something, and then deploy Qi'ra in order to heal him. This is quite good play if you kill something that has a slightly bigger attack, so something like with 4 attack maybe. Then you can heal him and kill something more with Qi'ra and give more experience tokens, so that's a strong play. Also, you can deploy Qi'ra, then ECL Husk, kill something, and then kill something with Qi'ra, and also give those 2 experience tokens. So Husk is really strong with Qi'ras when played and ECL in general. Next we have Removal. So we have Make an Opening. The main target for this is stuff that yellow villainy has. So 7th Fleet Defender and Lurking TIE Phantom. Those are really important targets that Make an Opening can kill at a very cheap price and also allows you to heal to HP. This one is good because you can bypass the shield tokens and just finish off some low HP units. On the other side, we have Power of the Dark Side, the card that you really want to use when the opponent doesn't have any cheap units, because the opponent just has to choose one of the units and defeat it. So if you manage to kill all of their cheap units, then basically they don't have any good options to kill. And also, it's very important that you can kill leaders with this one. So if the opponent Boba deploys and gives him Boba armor, you can kill him with Power of the Dark Side. So that's a really strong play. Just make sure you have a way to kill those cheap units before you play Power of the Dark Side. Alt 4 resources, we have Takedown, Fill the Dragon, just really stored removals. Fill the Dragon is especially very important against late game cards, so it can kill basically any late game bombs, and also some 5 and 6 cost cards, something like Podameron or Husk, so a really strong removal against big threats. Next we have Barrage, by far the best removal in the game. This one gives your unit +2/+2, and then you can divide the damage that the unit had, that the card that you played the barrage on, among enemy units. This very strong removal allows you to kill all of the units that Qi'ra damaged when she deployed, and basically allows you to wipe the whole enemy board in many cases. So this is very strong card. And also, if you manage to play it with Husk, kill 2 or 3 units, then with Husk you get the experience token for each kill. So that's also really strong play. Next you have Vigilance. Even though a double aspect card is still great in this deck, because the healing 5 and defeating a unit with 3 or less remaining HP is a really strong play when you play against aggro or mid-range decks. The discard 6 is quite relevant if you play against control decks, because those games tend to take long. So if you manage to play Vigilance 2 or maybe 3 times and discard 6 cards with each of them, you can easily win the game out of milling the opponent. Giving a shield token with Vigilance is also an option. In a lot of cases, it's the least desirable, but it's just a backup thing that you can do. And there are some cases where it's really relevant, like you can shield a Snoke and Avenger, and if the opponent doesn't have a good way of dealing with shield tokens, it can really help you stabilize the game with those units. And lastly, we have Super Laser Blast, the card that is very expensive, but basically kills the whole board no matter what. This one is kind of a panic button if you are kind of behind or just need to stabilize the board. It can help you. Like if you play it on 8, you can maybe and the opponent doesn't have too many units, you can maybe then stabilize the board with stuff like Avenger, because it fits well into curve. Like you play this card on 8 and then Avenger on 9, so that's a really strong play that allows you to stabilize the game. It's just a one-off in this deck, but it's still solid because the opponent has to respect this card at least to some degree. And now we have our late game cards. So in terms of our ground units, we have Vader, Maul, and Snoke. Vader is very, very, very strong 7-drop. He allows you to search the top 10 cards and then take a unit that costs 3 or less. You can take multiple of them as long as their combined cost is 3 or less. So you can take a 2-drop and a 1-drop maybe, or maybe even 3 1-drops. But in this deck, I don't think taking 3 Enforcer is that strong of a play, but it's an option. And yeah. With Death Trooper, he is great because you can basically take out 7 HP units from the opponent. You can deal 5 with Vader and then deal 2 more with Death Trooper, or maybe just take out 2 different targets that have a little bit less HP. Besides that, we have Sentinels that are also great targets out of Vader, so there are a lot of great targets in this deck. Besides that, we have Maul, a unit that can help you just deal some damage to the opponent base and finish them off. You can use him to finish off some low HP units and then deal a lot of damage with Overwhelm, or just kill some people with more HP, because 7 attack is enough to kill vast majority of the targets. You have his on attack ability, which works quite often in this deck because you have quite a few Underworld units. There are not that many, but there are quite a few, so there's still this ability is still quite relevant. And next we have Snoke, a unit that when you play him, he gives -2/-2 to each non-leader enemy unit. This one allows you to kill all of the cheap cards from the opponent, or at least make them just insignificant. Like if they do only 1 damage, then they're basically useless, and playing something like Barrage on Snoke next round can be really devastating for the opponent. It's quite important that all of those units are force units, because there is a Pulpaline's Return in the sideboard. So that's a thing that is worth mentioning. And in terms of our big ships, we have Avengers, so the card that I've mentioned before, a really strong card that can help you stabilize the board and finish the game in the later stages of the game. Besides that, we have Relentless and Devastators. Those two are mainly for the controlling matchups because they're quite slow, but taking the option from the opponent, taking the option of playing the first event from the opponent with Relentless, or just killing something when you play Devastator, is quite significant when you play against those controlling matchups. So for the sideboard, we have Top Target and Client. Those cards are for the Sabine and basically any aggro matchups where you need those where you need that healing in order to survive the early game. Next we have Thork. This one is more for all of the Krayt Dragons. He's quite a good counter to them because you can kill Krayt Dragon with Thork and then he survives because of the shield token. And also there are a few more targets that he can take out and survive. Next we have Pulpaline's Return, Relentless and Devastator. Relentless and Devastator are there's just one more copy of them in the sideboard just for the controlling matchups. Pulpaline's Return is also a card that you want to bring for the more controlling matchups. The fact that you get the discount of the resources when you use it on the force unit is nice, but in a lot of cases you would rather just take a big ship, something like Relentless, Avenger or Devastator with this one. And yeah, in the controlling matchups it's a really strong play that you can make. But taking something like a Snoke is also a quite decent play. So this is how the deck looks, and yeah. Qi'ra at the moment is really strong, the strong deck for sure. She's winning quite a lot of tournaments. I believe she won GenCon as well as one of the very recent UK tournaments. I believe Thork posted a video on his channel where he reviews the whole tournament, so go check him out. I will leave the link in the description. And so yeah, for the deck we have quite a lot of 1-offs and 2-offs. Mostly because some of the cards are not as strong in some matchups, so they are just as a 1-off or 2-off, but nevertheless they are still quite important. I decided to go with only 2 copies of Inferno 4, Viper Prop Droid and Pike Sentinel. A lot of people just want to decide to cut the Viper Prop Droid, but I still feel like Viper Prop Droid is quite a decent option in this deck, so I just went for this split. Besides that, we have an option to play Consortium Star Viper instead of Black Sun, but I feel like with Qi'ra, the thing is that she's quite mana hungry with her action ability to give those shield tokens, so sometimes it's hard to have the initiative, because like if you play the Enforcer on turn 1, then basically the opponent has always the initiative, unless they also have a leader that is action hungry, like Han Solo from the Shadows of the Galaxy or from the Spark of Rebellion. Basically the same concept applies to both of them. So yeah, this is how the deck looks, and I hope you will do well with it. See you next time, guys.